If you've ever looked at Amazon KDP and thought, this looks great, but I don't have thousands of dollars to throw at it, I want you to stick with me through this video because today I'm going to show you how to start self-publishing properly on KDP for less than $500 without cutting corners, without relying on outdated advice, and without turning this into some messy side hustle that never really goes anywhere. And when I say start properly, I don't mean uploading one random book and hoping for the best. I mean setting this up as an actual business that will still make sense in 6 months or a year from now, even if you decide to scale this way beyond where you start. A lot of the content out there tells you you can do this for free, which usually leads to people getting stuck and frustrated, or it makes you sound like you need a massive budget and a complicated tech stack just to get going. Neither of those are true. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to approach KDP the way people who actually make money with it do it, how to think about publishing as a digital product business rather than just making books, and exactly where a smaller budget should be spent and why. So if you're starting from zero, or if you have already tried KDP before and it felt messy or it felt confusing, or like you were just sort of guessing your way through it, this video is going to give you a much clearer picture about how to do this in a way that actually holds up long term. All right, let's get into it. If you are new here, my name is Caroline and I'm a self-publisher who has been creating and selling books on Amazon for over 7 years, and on this channel I show you how to do the same. If you're watching this because you do want to get started self-publishing on Amazon KDP, there is something I want to clear up straight away because most people come into this with the totally wrong mental model, and that misunderstanding causes literally every problem that they encounter later on. Most people think that KDP is about making books. They think that the job is to come up with an idea, create a book, upload it to Amazon, and then kind of just sit back and see what happens. And if nothing happens, they assume that KDP doesn't work anymore, or they assume that they are bad at it, or that it's oversaturated. What's actually happening is actually a lot more simple than that. They're not treating self-publishing as a digital product business, because that is essentially what it is. When you publish on KDP, you're creating digital products, you're distributing them digitally, and building intellectual property that can be sold over and over again without any additional work per sale. Amazon just happens to be one of the biggest and easiest distribution channels for this type of product. Once you see it that way, the whole thing changes. You stop asking, how can I make one good book? And you start asking, how can I build a small, scalable digital product system that compounds over time? And that matters because it affects how you spend money, how you spend time, and how patient you are with the process. And that is why I am comfortable saying that you can start this type of business properly for under $500. Something else that's really important to understand at this stage is that when you think of it as a digital product business, you stop putting emotional pressure on each individual book. A lot of beginners treat every book like it has to work for this whole thing to be worth it. They pour weeks of time into one book, they obsess over whether it's perfect, and when it doesn't sell immediately, they just feel really discouraged and assume that they're failing. But digital product businesses don't work that way. You're building a library of assets. Some will perform better than others, some might surprise you, and some will barely sell at all, and that is normal and it is actually expected. The goal isn't to get every single book right. The goal is to get the system right so that every book you publish teaches you something and contributes to the overall business. Once you really internalize that, self-publishing becomes a lot calmer and a lot smoother. You're no longer emotionally tied to one outcome and you're focused on progress, not perfection. So why is self-publishing still one of the best low-risk online businesses? Before we do get into budgets and tools, it's important to understand why self-publishing works at all, because if you don't trust the business model, you will second guess every step and you will quit the first time that something doesn't work or something doesn't go the way you expected it to. Amazon already has the 3 main things that are incredibly difficult to build from scratch in any other business. They have traffic, they have trust, and they have customers who are actively seeking solutions. And they have a lot of them. You're not going on there trying to convince people that they need something. You're showing up where people are already looking for something. That removes a massive roadblock compared to starting something like an e-commerce store or growing a social media account from zero, where you are just spending months and months trying to get that initial attention. The other thing that people underestimate is how long publishing lasts. A YouTube YouTube video might get views for days, maybe weeks at the most. A social media post literally disappears almost instantly, but a book can sell for years. That long-term, slow burn nature is exactly why this works so well for those people who do treat it like a digital product business. Now, in terms of money, let's keep expectations realistic. Most people do not go from zero to thousands of dollars in royalties overnight, and anyone who does promise that is leaving out some very important details. What usually happens is over time, someone will publish a few books. They'll start seeing small but maybe consistent sales. That builds confidence and then gradually increases output and quality. The first milestone isn't massive income or massive royalties. It's proof that strangers are actually buying something that you've created without knowing who you are. Once that happens, everything shifts, and that's when scaling becomes possible. Another reason why self-publishing works so well, especially for beginners, is that it doesn't require you to be visible if you don't want to be. You don't have to be on camera, you don't have to build a personal brand, and you don't have to post every day on social media if you don't want. And for a lot of people, that is a huge relief. You can build this behind the scenes without anyone knowing, without anyone you know in your personal life knowing about it, while you're still creating real income. And because the products are digital, the margins are predictable. You're not dealing with fluctuating shipping costs or taxes or supplier issues or returns eating into your profits. Publishing is just so simple in structure, even if it does take time to master. And that simplicity is exactly why it is such a good business to start with a limited budget. You're not constantly putting money back into inventory. You're investing once in systems and tools and then reusing them over and over again. So what are the reasons why most people do fail with self-publishing? The reason that most people fail with KDP actually has very little to do with their intelligence or their creativity, and just has a lot to do with how they set things up from the very beginning. They either try to do everything for free and then just end up wasting time on bad ideas, or they overcomplicate the process with tools and strategies that they just don't need yet. Both lead to the same outcome, which is frustration and inconsistency. Starting cheap isn't the goal, but starting clean is. You want a system that removes as many roadblocks, as much friction as possible, not add to it. You want fewer decisions, fewer steps, and fewer places to get stuck. You want it to be as easy as possible for you to take the next step, whatever the next step is in building your self-publishing business. When I talk about a $500 setup, I'm not talking about spending money just to spend it. I'm talking about using a small budget intentionally so that you can move faster, you can make better decisions, and then actually stay in the game long enough to see results. Another reason that people struggle is because they just don't give themselves a long enough time frame. They expect results far too quickly, especially if they have watched a lot of highlight style content online. When they don't see sales within the first few weeks, they panic and they start changing everything all at once. They change niches, they change book types, covers and strategies, and that constant switching actually prevents them from gathering any meaningful data. Publishing rewards people who can stay consistent long enough to see patterns. You want to be able to look back after 10 or 20 books and say, okay, I can see what is and what isn't working here. You can't do that if you're reinventing your approach every month. This is another reason why starting with a structured setup matters. It gives you stability, and stability leads to clarity. So what is the $500 framework? What is it you're actually paying for? I like to break this down into 5 different areas because almost every publishing decision that you are going to make fits into one of them. We've got research and validation, book creation, brand and growth infrastructure, design and presentation, and publishing systems. You don't need to master all of these at once, but you do need to cover them at a basic level. So let's go through each one properly. I also just want to be really clear about something here, because this is where people will misunderstand the budget. This is not about spending $500 all at once. It's about having up to $500 available so that you can make good decisions instead of forced decisions. So you might not use the full amount immediately. You might spread it out over a few months, and that is totally fine. The important thing is that you are not stuck in a position where you can't move forward because you're trying to do everything for free and just hitting roadblocks over and over and over again. A small budget like this just gives you some breathing room, and that breathing room can often be the difference between someone who sticks with it and someone who quits. So research and validation and choosing what to publish. This is probably the most important part of the whole process, but unfortunately it is also the part that most people rush through the fastest. Choosing what to publish in what niche is not about guessing, or it's not about just copying blindly what somebody else is doing. It's about understanding 3 things. First, are people already buying this type of book? Second, can you realistically create something that fits the market? And third, can this idea expand into more than one book? When you're researching niches, you're looking for evidence of demand. You want to see books that are selling consistently. A common mistake is aiming too high at the beginning and trying to compete with the massive brands instead of carving out a smaller, clearer angle within a niche. One solid niche with room to expand into a series is far more valuable than 5 random ideas that don't relate to each other at all. This is where a small investment into some proper research tools or structured research saves you months of wasted effort, because publishing books that don't sell is far more expensive than spending a little bit of money upfront to validate ideas properly. Let me give you a more practical way to think about niche research. You're not looking for a niche where nobody else is publishing. That is actually a red flag, not a good opportunity. You're looking for niches where books are already selling, but where there is room to improve on what's currently available or add your own unique spin to it. And that improvement could be just something like a better layout or clearer instructions inside the book or more pages or just better targeting. Doing this makes it much easier to market your books, and it's easier for customers to recognize your books being relevant to them. And once you have found a niche like that, you should immediately be thinking about follow-up books. If you can't imagine at least 3 to 5 related books, it's probably not the best starting point. There are tools out there like BookBolt, Publisher Rocket, BookBeam, to name a few that can help you with niche research. BookBolt is only $20 per month, and it also includes book design and creation software, plus interior templates and tools to help create books for you. So it is sort of like multiple tools in one, but it does have a fantastic niche research tool as well, which is also specifically created for low content book publishing. Now onto book creation and how to produce books consistently. Once you know what you are creating, the next question is how you're going to create books consistently without burning out. The biggest trap here is perfectionism. I've fallen into this trap myself, especially at the beginning. You do not want to be spending weeks tweaking fonts or layouts or wording or spacing and design that customers actually just don't care about, and then they never publish. The goal of your book is clarity and usefulness, especially when it comes to low content books. You want a repeatable process and then move on to the next one without starting from scratch every single time. Templates are your friend here, so are checklists. The faster that you can get from idea to published book, the more chances you're giving yourself to learn what actually works. Publishing rewards volume over time, not because more books just automatically means more money, but because more books mean for you more data, more feedback, and more opportunities to refine your approach. As I just mentioned, BookBolt can help you with this. And you can also purchase interior templates from stock image or stock product websites. Just make sure to tweak any templates that you use so that you give them a unique angle and make them stand out and be different from all the other books on Amazon. If you're making books that need specialized tools like puzzle books, you'll need to have a little budget for that. Let's say you want to create word search puzzle books or Sudoku puzzle books. You'll need a tool to create these puzzles for you. They're not easy to make. You can get access to tools that make these kinds of puzzles and a heap of other types of puzzles for your books for around about $80 a month. I have many videos on puzzle books and the tools to use to create them. There's a link to the tools down in the description below, as well as BookBolt and Publisher Rocket if you're interested in those. Another thing that helps massively with consistency is separating creation from publishing. So instead of creating just one book, publishing it, and then starting again, try batching. Spend time researching ideas, then spend time creating a bunch of interiors, then spend time designing a bunch of covers for those interiors, then spend time uploading all the books you've created. Batching reduces decision fatigue and just makes the whole process feel so much more lighter, so much more doable. Mentally, you're not constantly switching between tasks, which is exhausting. You're just moving through the same type of work, but in blocks. This is especially important if you are going to be doing this alongside your day job, or if you have family commitments that take up a lot of your time because you want self-publishing to fit into your life, not consume it. Now, the piece of the puzzle that a lot of people do skip, and that is building something outside of Amazon, but it is so, so important. And we're getting to the part that a lot of people avoid, usually because they think it is just too complicated or even that it's unnecessary at the beginning, and that is your brand and your business website. If all your publishing activity lives inside of Amazon, you don't actually own much of your business at all. Now, I'm not saying Amazon has copyright over your books or they own your books. You still own your books. But what I'm talking about is that Amazon controls the traffic. Amazon controls the customer relationship. Amazon controls visibility. It controls what you can and can't see about your customer. For example, you will never get any customer's contact details so that you could contact them about other books that you have that they might be interested in. And this doesn't mean that Amazon is bad. It's just sort of the trade-off for getting access to their huge customer base. The customers are Amazon's. They belong to Amazon, and you're just taking advantage of being able to sell to their customers. And it just means that you shouldn't rely on it exclusively. A simple website gives you a place to send customers, a place to explain your brand, and most importantly, a way to collect email addresses so that you can communicate with those people directly. This email list is going to become so much more valuable than any single book that you will publish. Now, I just want to emphasize that building outside of Amazon doesn't mean abandoning Amazon at all. It means supporting it. Your books are still going to be selling on Amazon. That's not going to change. What changes is that you are no longer entirely dependent on one single platform for visibility or for your growth or for your income. And this is really important because Amazon can change anything it wants about how we publish, about how much royalties we receive on its platform in an instant. But your website becomes a central hub. You can recommend your own books and introduce people to your whole series of books. You can add additional related products like printables or digital products, digital downloads, in addition to what you're selling on Amazon. Over time, this creates a much stronger connection than a single product page on Amazon ever could. So let's talk about what this website actually needs to do, because you don't need a complex website. You don't need design skills, developer skills. You don't need to be technical at all. You just need a clean, simple home base for your publishing brand. So first of all, you're going to be choosing a brand name, and that's going to be your domain name. And when choosing a domain, you do want something a little bit flexible. Try to avoid naming your website after one specific book. Think broader when it comes to your brand name and your domain name. So think more about the niche or the audience that you're serving, not the actual single product itself. You will want a name that still makes sense if you publish 20 or 50 books, or you add additional products in the future. Now, this is where Hostinger makes things so much easier than it used to be. You're not starting from a blank page. Your homepage should make it immediately obvious who the site is for and what problems it solves. Focus on clarity, not cleverness. And a website's just going to help you look way more professional and trustworthy. It builds credibility with customers. It allows you to showcase your books all in one place and lay that foundation for things like printables, additional products, and building email lists. So for this part, I am partnering with Hostinger. I host my own self-publishing central website through them and have done for several years now. And we're slowly getting into the new year. New year is where ideas are planned. Hostinger is where they actually get started. I'm going to be setting up a clean, simple brand website using Hostinger. I just want to show you how easy it is, because it is affordable, it's beginner friendly, and it makes it really easy to get a website online without needing a single technical skill. So here's how it works. Go to Hostinger using the link down in the description below. Of course, it is the best time to set a website up right now because they do have some incredible New Year's sales still going. And although it will depend on when you are watching this video, they currently have 84% off, plus additional discount if you use my special code, which is also down in the description. We are going to select the business website builder plan because it gives us access to the AI website builder, which is important. and the option to add an online store. So we can sell any additional products like digital downloads down the track. To get the best price possible, you'll want to choose the 48-month plan. As I mentioned, I also have a coupon code that will get you an additional 10% off. So make sure to pop that in before you check out. Choosing the business website builder plan on a 48-month period also gives us a free domain name for the first year. Another added bonus. Also, just to let you know, Hostinger does have a 30-day money-back guarantee. We'll continue on and we'll just need to fill out some personal details to complete everything, but we are ready to start building our website. And don't worry if you have no idea about how to build a website. This AI website builder makes it so easy. Let me show you. We're just going to go set up our hosting and we're just going to go through and answer a few questions. We're going to be creating a new website. We want to use the Hostinger website builder. You just need to enter the domain name that you'd like to use. And if you have selected the 48-month hosting plan, you will get it free for the first year. And this is where you pop it in and take advantage of that. And it's just to create a professional brand presence that's going to support your self-publishing business. So I'm just going to pop in a description about what this website's going to be about. And this will literally take a minute and you will have a complete website. You can customize every part of it. You can change the colors, you can change the text, upload your book, add your Amazon links so that you can send customers to Amazon to buy your book. You can add an online store if you do want to sell your books as digital products or you want to add other products related to your books. The goal isn't to build a massive technical website, it's to create a professional brand presence that supports your publishing business. So I just popped in a description of my brand, the feel that I wanted the website to have and the things that I wanted included. And within literally less than a minute, a complete functioning website with an online store was created for me, and you can customize every part of it. So you can change the colors, you can change any of the text as well as any of the fonts on the website. You can upload your book covers, change any of these images. You can use the AI tool to generate images across your website. You can add all your Amazon links. You can create a downloads page where people can download digital versions of your coloring books. As we have done in this example, we can add an online store and you can create an email sign up, which is very, very important. This is where your website is really going to start working for you. Offer something really simple and useful in exchange for an email address, a checklist or a worksheet or a short guide, something that is related to the books that you're publishing. But this is going to allow you to build a relationship with customers outside Amazon, and it creates long-term value that compounds as your brand grows. One mistake that people make with websites is thinking that everything has to be perfect before they launch. It doesn't. Your website will evolve as your business evolves. You can add pages later, you can change wording later, you can change images later, you can refine your brand later. It is not set in stone. The Hostinger AI website builder is incredibly easy to use, and it is built for people who just want something quick, clean, and professional. If you do want a website that looks good without any of the tech stress, Hostinger's AI website builder is perfect for beginners, and I will leave that link down below with my coupon so that you can go check it out. Now, what matters is that you have a place that exists outside of Amazon and starts working for you in the background. Even a really simple website can make a huge difference in the long term. So now we're on to design and presentation. How can you make books that actually convert to sales? Your cover and your interior serve one job: helping the right customer very quickly understand that this book is for them. That is it. A cover needs to be clear. It needs to match what's already working in the niche while still being readable at thumbnail size and stand out from all the other thumbnail covers in the search results. It is always a great idea to have somebody make the cover for you so that you do have the best chance at having the cover that a customer chooses to click on in the search results. And you can have this done very affordably on Fiverr. You can have a really high quality, niche appropriate cover made for $50 or under. It is such a good investment in the book creation part of the process. Now, your interiors need to be easy to use, easy to follow, and this might be obvious, but you see it all the time. It needs to be free of errors. People buy low content books because the book solves a problem, or it entertains them, or gives them something specific that they want. So with your interior, clean and simple wins almost every time. It's also just worth saying that design improves naturally over time. Your first few books probably won't be your best work, and that is completely normal. What matters is that They are clear and they're usable, and they're aligned with what customers expect in that niche. If you do go and look at successful self-publishers, you will almost always see that their earlier books are much more simple and maybe a little less professional looking than their later ones. And that is progression, and everybody goes through that. Don't wait until you feel ready to publish. You become ready by publishing. Now we've got publishing systems, and this is how you're going to turn this business into something that doesn't feel chaotic. If you want to create a successful self-publishing business, then it has to feel like a business, not a hobby. You should have basic systems for creating titles and descriptions, for uploading files, for setting your prices, and tracking what you've published. Nothing fancy, just something consistent. When every book follows the same process, your brain has less to juggle and think about, and you're far more likely to keep going when motivation starts to fade away. The people who do scale rely on systems that keep things moving even on the boring days. This is also where tracking becomes useful, even if it is very basic. You should know what you've published, when you've published it, and what niche it is in. That is enough at the beginning. You don't need complicated spreadsheets or analytics dashboards. You just need visibility. You can easily do this for free in the Amazon KDP dashboard, so there's no need to spend money on expensive tracking or analytics software at this point. Being able to look at your catalog of books and understand what you've built so far is incredibly motivating, especially in the early stages when you are trying to grow your income. So what can this $500 setup realistically do in 6 to 12 months? With a setup like this, consistency is what matters the most. Publishing books regularly, improving with each one, and slowly building a series that can realistically lead to steady income, brand recognition, and an audience and customer base that you own or that you can at least be in contact with. It's one of the most stable ways to build something that grows, and it is also important to say that this setup isn't just for beginners. Many people who are already self-publishing never go back and fix their foundations. They just keep stacking books on top of a shaky base. Starting clean, even if you do already have books published, can make a massive difference to how scalable and how sustainable this feels. You don't need thousands of dollars to start publishing properly. You just need a clear plan and a simple system and the willingness to treat this like a real digital product business. If you do that, $500 is more than enough to get started in a way that actually sets you up for the long term. One of the biggest mindset shifts with self-publishing is understanding that progress is pretty quiet and it's pretty uneventful. There's not usually a big moment where everything just suddenly changes. It's usually just really small improvements stacking on top of each other, and then one day you look back and you realize that you've built something real. And that's exactly why starting with a smart, intentional setup matters far more than starting with the smallest possible budget. If you did enjoy this video, YouTube thinks that you might like these ones too, so please go check them out to learn more about self-publishing your own books on Amazon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.